A range-bound session sees Dalal Street end flat. The Nifty stays above 25,000. Financials underperform the blue chips. Capital market stocks see heavy selling, but Reliance Industries bats for the bulls.
SEBI chairman speaking at a FICCI event floats the idea of trading in pre-IPO companies with certain disclosures, adds that the regulator is looking to increase the tenure and maturity of equity derivative contracts, for which a consultation paper will be issued soon.
The stock of Clean Science and Technology sees nearly 80% of its market cap trade in value due to a fat finger error by the banker. The stock rebounds after the company clarifies this to CNBC-TV18. Vahan data reveals Ather Energy has sold 10,248 vehicles in the month of August so far, as against Ola Electric's 9,500, setting it up to overtake Ola Electric. Ola Electric sees profit booking ends with deep cuts.
Hello and welcome to Markets Forward, your go-to show where we aim to get you all the key data points to gear up for the next trading day. I am Vamakshi Doria and with me is my colleague Reema Tendulkar. Well, Reema, good afternoon to you. And the markets today were off to a good start, but we did see them cool off quite a bit from the day's highest point. They were down almost 70 points from the day's highest point. The Nifty failed to sustain about that crucial 25,100 mark.
Indeed. So all in all, a quiet session. But as you said, the start was far more promising. We've ended with gains of about 33 points. The day's high today was 25,150. We finally ended below the 25,100 mark, seeing a fall of about 70 points from the top of the day. The sectoral rotation continues. So yesterday, IT came in for a lot of buying. Today, it was the pharmaceutical index, index closing with a gain of over 1%. And mid-caps underperformed. The mid-cap index down close to about 0.4%. Small-cap index ending in the red with the advanced decline ratio lines converging a bit. But all in all, although the end was quiet, it's still the sixth consecutive day of gains, at least for the benchmark indices.
Well, absolutely. And like you pointed out, right, the broader markets underperformed. The mid-cap index was in the red. And a lot of stocks from the broader end of the market also took a very sharp knock in today's trading session. Take a look at, BSC, New India Assurance, all of these. New India Assurance was up in trade. But take a look at JK Cement because it did manage to cool off significantly from the day's highest point. In fact, it was off the day's highest point by almost 5.3%. Carborundum was one such other counter that had decline in trade, and Vodafone Idea as well taking a hit in today's trading session of nearly 4% from the day's highest point. But that we have a lot of stuff lined up on the show, and here's the lineup of what we have in store for you today. We start with the top movers and shakers of the day with Hormaz Patakia. Also on the show, Clean Science and Technology shares swing due to a fat finger error made by the firm's banker, while hexaware gains on the back of a bullish rating from Novama. Railway stocks, Railtel and Jupiter Wagons surge after winning government orders. Last but not the least, we delve into the key market events to watch out for tomorrow's trading session. And on to our first segment of the day then. Hormaz Patakia is now joining us from the big wall with the top movers and shakers of the day. Hormaz, over to you.
Well, you ended the session with gains, and I guess that could be the positive if you want to take out from today's trading session. But not every pocket was the one that did well. Capital markets was one such pocket that did not do well today after the SEBI chairman's remarks earlier in the day. And BSC, Angel One, both of them ending with cuts of almost close to 8%. MCX also took a bit of a beating in today's session, as did 361 WAM. On the flip side, NSDL bucked the trend, but at one point was up almost 10-11%, and that trimmed almost halved its gains to end around 5.5% higher. The newsmakers of today, of course, can't not talk about Clean Sciences. The swings that it saw in the first hour of trade, eventually ending 3% lower. Be interesting to see who are the buyers that emerge in this block deal. Well, IDBI Bank, after the Deepam Sekhi remarks, of course, doing very well today. India Cements for the OFS. Jupiter Wagons at one point was up almost 12%, so it significantly came off the highs of the day to end almost 3.5% higher. And PG Electroplast, of course, back in the FNO band today and back higher as well, 4.5% on that stock. Some profit booking was seen in a lot of these high-flying names in the last few sessions. Look at Ola Electric down 8.5%. Carborundum was up almost 14-15% yesterday. That saw some profit taking. HLE Glasscoat as well. IFGL Refractories had a 20% circuit earlier in the week. That's down 3.5%. And JK Cement too saw a cut of around 6% today. But lastly, even as the broader markets came off the highs of the day, there was stocks that ended at the 52-week high. Nava, Force Motors, Lemon Tree continues to move from strength to strength, and SML Isuzu too seeing a 5% upper circuit ending at a 52-week high.
Thank you very much for that. Those were the top stock movers. Let's invite our guests, Amrish Baliga and Ruchit Jain from Motilal Oswal Financial Services on the show. But before that, let's get to the big story, and that is SEBI Chairman Tuhin Kanta Pandey. When he spoke at a FICCI event earlier today, he floated the idea of trading in pre-IPO companies with certain disclosures. He also said, and this is the important bit, the regulator is looking to increase the tenure and maturity of equity derivative contract, for which a consultation paper would be issued very soon. Listen in.
See, improving the tenure is really means that, whether we can sort of have longer term, more longer term derivatives. But all this is to be done in consultation. As I said, that in what form, how, we'll have the consultations.
So and we will have a consultation paper
yes,
coming?
Yes. Nothing will be on.
By when will the consultation paper?
No, I mean, I can't
is
give
it like
you the,
in a month, in a week?
No, I can't tell you that, but that's the thinking process we have.
But your preference is for a longer. Your preference is for a longer.
Yes, I mean, that is qualitatively we have to see, but we have to calibrate it. So if you really look at my statement, where I said in a calibrated manner. With a booming IPO market, investors are eagerly anticipating what is next. Yet, pre-listing information is often not enough for investors to take an investment decision. Can we think of an initiative on a pilot basis for a regulated venue where pre-IPO companies can choose to trade subject to certain disclosures? Which are the unnecessary processes and pain points that cause avoidable friction in fundraising, disclosures, and investor onboarding, and how they can be removed?
Well, that was the SEBI chairperson. Ambrish and Ruchit, hi, this is Vamakshi joining in. Ambrish, my question is to you. You've heard about the comments that came in from the SEBI chair. So, I mean, what do you make of this development on stocks like BSC, Angel One? Any view on these counters?
See, in fact, most of the volumes happen in the short-term derivative contracts. And that's what has been troubling the regulators for a while. So with this longer-term contracts and possibly shrinking of the short-term contracts, I think could actually decrease the volumes as far as these participants are concerned. So because of which we have seen that correction as far as the market participants as well as BSE is concerned.
Rajesh Baheti of Cross sees Capital Services, and he said NSE could take a hit of 35 to 40%. On BSE, the hit could be 50 to 60%, and full service brokerages could see an impact of about 10 to 15% on the company's top line. Ruchit, 7.5% lower on BSE today. It's down 22% from its recent high. What are the charts telling you on BSE?
This seems to be a corrective phase, at least in the shorter term time frame. We have seen that in last 1.5 months, along with the markets, the stock has corrected, and maybe moving toward its 200 DMA support, which is placed around 2000 levels. So, and in the today also, we saw that the price correction was supported by good volumes in the cash segment. And generally, whenever we see such volume-based corrections, the stock could tend to underperform in the short term. So this does not change the longer-term picture for the stock, but at least in the near term, I think some relative underperformance could continue, and the stock could test levels around 2100 to 2000 range.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Ruchit. But, the other stock that was in focus today was Clean Science and Technology. It saw nearly 80% of its market cap traded in value due to a fat finger error by its banker. The stock later rebounded after the company clarified the situation to CNBC-TV18. Now, this incident grabbed more attention than the already significant 24% equity sale by the promoters. My colleague Sonal Butra is here with all the details. Sonal, take us through what transpired.
Well, Clean Science and Technology, the big mover in trade today, it has seen massive swings in the initial hour of trade as well, around 17%. So the low today was 1070 and the high also will come up for you on the screen. So a big swing is what we saw. Now what happened? The expectation was there will be a 24% block in terms of promoter stake sale, which was expected already. However, at around 925, initial data suggested that 56% equity has exchanged hands for Clean Science and Technology via 3 blocks. We spoke to the management and they clarified around 941 that there has been a punching error by investment bankers, specifically Spark Avendus, and that has led to that big surge that we saw in terms of blocks as well. The block deals are only for 24% and not 56%. The stock recovered 13% from lows after this clarification to CNBC-TV18. Now, do remember, this was something which was expected. Company did indicate in Q1 that the Booth family will be selling 24% stake to bring it down from 75 to 51%, and this will be for estate planning purposes. The promoter shareholding currently at 74.96%, and the biggest promoters in terms of shareholdings will come up for you on the screen. So these would be the possible shareholders who will be selling as well. However, do remember in the conference call and the sources that are suggesting that it is Ashok Boob and Krishna Kumar Boob who will be selling the stake in the company. Of course, block deal data is awaited today. Let's talk about financials now for this company. What did it look like? In Q1, the recent ones, it was a steady quarter. Revenues up 8%, margins at 42%, profits up 6%. However, the company went ahead and they cut their EBITDA growth guidance from 18 to 20% versus 15 to 18% earlier. They said further clarity is expected only in second quarter. They expect some growth to come by third quarter, and they expect revenue acceleration from second half of FY26 because of new product launches, improved capacity utilization, and market expansion as well. Let's dial down a bit further and talk about the previous financials. In terms of revenue growth in last 5 years, 17%, profit growth at 16%. In terms of margin growth as well, if we talk about it, it listed in FY21 when margins were really high, 15%. But now they've come down to levels of 43%. And that's what explains the move on the stock as well. It listed at 1643, but the stock is still below its IPO price. It's been 5 years since its listing. It has not been able to regain those levels. So it's not like promoters have taken back some gains with them back home. In terms of valuations as well, it is not very cheap, but it is not very expensive as well. 34 times FY27 EPS is where the stock trades at right now.
Thank you. Amrish, you already told us earlier in closing bell that Clean Science and Tech looks attractive at this juncture. So let me ask Richard, what are the technicals telling you, or any other stock that you would have on your radar for tomorrow?
So I think Clean Science technically the short-term trend is still on the negative side. Although we have seen a good amount of volatility today, but if you look at the recent past, the stock has been correcting from the highs of 1600 to around 1100 today, and immediate resistance is around 1250. So until we get a breakout above that 1250 level, I think at least if you are a short-term trader, then you should wait and watch and wait for that level to cross. Now, for tomorrow's trading session, Cummins is one stock which is looking quite positive. In fact, and if you look at last 1.5 months when the broader markets have seen some correction, this is one stock where we have not seen any kind of price-wise correction coming in, and it has shown a good relative outperformance in such time. So that uptrend is still getting continued. Volumes are good along with the price of move. So we expect this momentum to continue in the near term, and on the higher side, levels of around 4,000 to 4,100 should be expected.
Okay, let's talk about hexaware. That was also a big mover, 3.5% higher. This is on the back of Nuvama, which turned bullish on the stock. So basically, Nuvama's narrative is that hexaware sits in a sweet spot of growth and value. It's not as expensive as some of these high growth, very expensive mid-cap companies like Coforge and Persistent, but it's also not such a low growth company like the large cap IT companies. So in that sense, it sits right in the middle of these two pockets and is in a sweet spot. Even in terms of size, the company's size is about $1.4 billion, which means it's large enough to bid and chase for big deals, but it's not so large that it's difficult to pivot the company or be agile and nimble. And finally, they're saying that after the correction, even valuations are fairly attractive. So currently, hexaware is trading at 24 times forward multiple calendar year 2027. Their target is 28. But they're saying it's still cheaper than some of the other mid-cap companies. So in that sense, valuations are also fairly attractive, and that got the street fairly excited. Amrish, the best mid-cap IT stock idea from here on, mid-cap or small cap?
Since we're talking of hexaware, clearly, I think that is also one of the ideas where I think we can see a decent gain from here. And I would totally go with the report which has come from Nuvama. I think we should see an upside of about 18 to 20% for this stock. And again, looking at the sort of focus which they have on AI.
Okay, Amrish, thank you so much for that. But Ruchit, what are the charts telling you on hexaware? Where do you see the stock headed now?
I think it's recently listed company, so not much data is there to do some mid to long term analysis. But is within the mid cap IT space. I think one stock which is looking quite attractive at current levels is Emphasis, where we have seen a good relative outperformance when the broader IT space was underperforming in last 1.5 2 months. The 200 DMF for the stock is still intact around 2620 to 2650. So I believe that in case if we see any kind of a pullback move or an up move in the IT space in the near term, then an outperformance could be expected from Emphasis, which looks quite positive from here as well.
All right, Ruchit. Now let's go across to two buzzing stocks on our radar, RailTel as well as Jupiter Wagons. Now, RailTel was up in a trade today, and that is because they managed to secure two work orders worth almost 50 crores from government agencies in Odisha as well as Kerala. The first order amounted to around 15 odd crores. This was awarded by the Higher Education Department of the Odisha government, while the second order amounted for approximately 35 crores, and this was from Kerala State Information Technology Mission. And given that order, the stock did well today, up almost 0.6%. Jupiter Wagons was the other very big mover in today's trading session because its subsidiary received an LOI, which is a letter of interest worth almost 215 crores, and this is for supply of total 5,376 wheel sets for the Vande Bharat trade. Therefore, Jupiter Wagons, although it is, closed in the green, but it is significantly off the day's highest point. So these two counters were in focus today. But Amrish, coming to you now, what do you make of the moves on these railway counters today? And I mean, what is your, medium to long-term view on both RailTel as well as Jupiter Wagons?
In fact, we have seen a decent correction in these stocks, and especially Jupiter Wagons has, in fact, corrected from levels of closer to about 450, 500 to the current levels. And this news of the order flow is quite positive for this company. So I think we should see levels of, again, about 400, 420 decently soon.
Okay. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining in. With that, it's time for a short break. We'll get to the top corporate voices along with the key market events to watch out for on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching Markets Forward. It's time now to get to the key corporate commentary that we had through the day. And the big one was Aurobindo Pharma. The company revealed that it has entered into a confidential and an NDA agreement with Zentiva, which is a generic drug maker. The management said as of now, talks with Zentiva, a potential acquisition target, are still in a very early stages. But if the deal goes through, this buyout aligns with their strategic plans. But again, they kept saying that it's simply too premature to comment right now. There were some concerns about the leverage that the company will have to take to acquire such a large company, to which the company said that if the deal does take place, the announcement will come in the next 2 months. They also pointed out that there is $140 million of net cash on the books, and debt or leverage will not be a major concern. They're confident of generating strong cash flows going ahead.
Well, next up is Wockhardt. The management says the company will be filing a new drug, Xenic, in the US by mid-September. They expect approvals to come within 6 to 9 months after the filing. They add they may even consider partnership in some markets for Xenic. That's not all. The company guides its EBITDA margins to improve from 14% to 16% this year. Commenting on their UK business, the management says it's growing in double digits with better margins year on year.
And next up is JK Lakshmi Cement. The management expects a pickup in demand for the cement industry, with the company anticipating to grow faster than the sector. The management also added that growth for the company, which was double-digit in Q1, is projected to remain above 9% going forward. They also highlighted the company holds a double-digit market share both in the core markets and other regions.
And before we wrap, we bring you some key market events to watch out for, and Gaurav is standing by with the key events to focus on for tomorrow's trading session.
Well, yes. From the global markets, a big key event to watch out for is Mr. Jerome Powell's speech at the Jackson Hole Summit. Now remember, Fed meetings minutes have already set some kind of hawkish stance, and that is the reason why this commentary is going to be a key thing to watch out for. But other than that, from the Indian market, first we will be watching out from Mr. Modi's visit to Bihar and West Bengal. He will be unveiling an infra project worth over 18,000 crores. Other than that, some companies that we will be watching out on specifically on the back of the board meeting. First is GMR Power, because company is going to consider fundraising in the tune of around 3,000 crores, and at the same time, Foseco India. Now this company is also going to be in focus because there will be board meeting where they will be discussing about issue of equity shares via preference allotment. Other than that, let's also focus on a few companies on the back of the conference presence. Antique is actually hosting a conference where we will see Alembic Pharma, Axis Bank and Aditya Birla Sun Life AMC actually attending this conference. And on the other hand, we will also be watching out for L&T because it will be present at Centrum's conference tomorrow. So definitely any kind of changes in the commentary, we will be watching out on that. But as of now, these companies will be on our radar for tomorrow.
Thank you. And that brings us to a close in this edition of Markets Forward. Thank you for watching. We'll be back with more news and updates.